Yeah.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, Locke. Hi, mate.
What's up, everyone? As you're coming in,
Cool, we're on.
I will kick this off in 2 minutes. I'm being very fancy here, and I've got Facebook and Zoom going. I'll just get everyone. I'll ask everyone to mute themselves if they can, just so we don't have the background noise stealing my thunder.
Unit. Woo.
What we got? Just for those on Facebook, I am dealing with 2 computers here. I wish I could show you guys the setup. Just because some people use Facebook, some don't. Yeah, you can zoom straight to Facebook. Oh, Conrad's just messaged me and said I can zoom straight. I can, but I just wasn't set up. So we're going to try 2 new things anyway. Just going to give it another 60 seconds, guys, and we'll jump in. For those who don't want to be, obviously we're recording this just so for those who missed it, I can send them the replay. If you don't feel comfortable having your face on there, that's completely fine. Just if you look down the bottom left-hand corner, you can just stop your video and take that off there. George, it looks like the UK is getting some sun, mate.
Nice, mate. It's nice.
Perfect.
For once.
Thomas, let's zoom. Hey, everyone jumping in on Facebook as well. All right, let's rip in. Too excited. All right. Hey, Timmy. Hey, Corey, Maddie. One sec, sorry, guys. Trying to do 2 things at once. All right, cool. Gents, well, thank you all for committing. I think first and foremost, there's so many other things you could be doing on a Monday night and probably wish you were doing on a Monday night, but I promise to do my best to make this worthwhile over the next 3 days. It's obviously, some of you may have heard the saying before, do the easy things in life and you'll live a tough life. You do the tough things now or the hard things now and you'll live a easier life. So making the sacrifices on a Monday night when you could be with family, you could be going to the gym, you could be cracking a beer and putting on Netflix, right, is the easy thing in the short term. But doing things like this where you get to invest in yourself and start finding answers for questions that maybe you've been struggling with for a while. I just saved one of the boys on Facebook from the dishes. Mate, I'm actually the king dish pig in my house. Amy cooks majority of the time and I'm the dish pig and I'm fucking good at it. And I'm going to just let 4 more people in. Cool. All right, Jen, so just some quick housekeeping. Obviously, for everyone who's registered, you should have been emailed already the 7-day game plan. Okay, if you haven't received it, check your junk email, or you may have not registered correctly. Just clicking on the Facebook event doesn't work. You need to actually, I've got the link on the Facebook thing there where you can register, because that's where I'll email out the recording, and I've also emailed the worksheet. So you've got your 3-day game plan worksheet, and you've also got the 7-day game plan, which we'll talk about shortly. Now, for the housekeeping, love doing a bit of housekeeping while you're all at home anyway, which works a treat. I'll just mute it. Hey, Tommy, how are you, mate? So the housekeeping, obviously, have your game plan there. Now, the 7-day game plan, guys, which for those, this is a 12-week one, but the 7 days, obviously just a week out of that. For those who've already printed that off and have that, just keep that until Wednesday, right? You can, some of you may have started on it. which is fine. But I think for those who are wanting to create a bit more direction and understand how to really maximize it, you're going to build upon that day upon day. Okay, I'm not going to blast you with a whole heap of information at once. We want to just help you, be as interactive as possible. So if you've got a pen and paper as well, just for notes or things that pop in your mind that you may want to ask questions about, do that as well. And thirdly, ask questions, be interactive, whether you're on Facebook or Zoom. If you're on Zoom, just pop it in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them on this. Otherwise, I will answer the questions on the Facebook, in the Facebook group as well. So if there's things that, I touch on or we go in that you want a bit more context around or deeper understanding of, just hit me up, because then I'm sure if you've got the question, many others do as well. Cool. Everyone in agreement to that? Nod their heads. Yeah, sick. Perfect. And for everyone on Facebook, I'm just going to assume you're shaking your heads as well. I mean, nodding your heads, not shaking your heads. And obviously today's intention is to help you guys understand what you want from your life and where you may be lacking, right? And then day upon day, tomorrow we're going to work into start helping you create a vision for what you want from your life. And then day 3, we're going to really piece it all together and help you understand what may be holding you back from that. Okay, from my experience with working with men from all walks of life all around the country, is we all have a few things in common, right? And it may pop up in different events and experiences, but a lot of us really struggle to make decisions in our life because we may be worried about, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I, waste years doing the wrong thing? And what we're actually doing by not making a decision is making a decision that we don't really care for the quality of our life, which is why you may be feeling lost. Purpose is a buzzword at the moment. You may feel like you don't have purpose. You may feel like you don't have that feeling of belonging. And we want to give that back to you because I think we all have that. It's just become so I won't say overcomplicated, but it has been getting pretty complex. So we want to bring it back to the foundations. Is anyone else on Facebook pausing, or is it just me? Hopefully it's just you, Scotty, because I am recording it on Zoom. So for those who are on Facebook, the Zoom link's in the chat if you do want to jump on Zoom as well. It's just under Tommy's there. Cool. Let's dive in, gents. I'm going to share my screen with you all. We're going to bring up the first workbook. So if you go back to your 3-day masterclass, for those who have printed it off, if you haven't printed it off, that's completely fine. You've got a pen and paper there. You can just write these questions and answer them there for yourself. Now, the big thing around the Men That Can project, obviously we have 4 pillars, which is muscle, momentum, meaning, and mateship, which is how we really create momentum in our life. It's about deciding why you want to do things, what you want to flex, why it's important to you, what the action steps are to creating that, the meaning or the intention behind doing it, because a lot of us are doing things in our life that aren't really adding value to ourselves. It's we're just being busy. Hold on one sec. Hey guys, if you're on the Facebook, just jump in the Zoom if it keeps freezing. I've just put the link there again. So all you do is click it and you'll be good to go. We spend so much time being busy, right? And all of us have come on this call with different skill sets, with different values, with different interests in our life. But as men, one of the common things that I see again is we strive to be the provider. So a big area of focus for us is career and status and income. And generally the downside of pursuing that is our relationships might go down the drain, or we mightn't spend a lot of time on those relationships. Our lifestyle, we might sacrifice fairly heavily, not catching up with mates, not exercising, not taking holidays, because we're trying to climb that career progression and, pay for things that we're looking to achieve in our lifestyle. So I've broken my life down, and, for the men that are a part of the Men That Can project already, we look at 8 areas. And I've found by being able to strip it back to 8 areas, it's really helped me see what areas I feel I'm strong with and what areas I feel like I'm on track with. And it's also helped me highlight where I maybe have some blind spots or some weaknesses that I need to work on. And all of us are going to be different in that regard, right? And only you can answer what you feel you need to work on next. And the next page will help you identify maybe what that looks like for you. I just got a heap of people jumping on Zoom here. Okay. So by identifying where you're at with it and what you want it to look like, we're now creating mini goals for ourselves, or little progression stats, right? What would you like this area to look like? I'm just going to give this 1 second so I can let everyone who's jumping in. Cool. All right. So you can work out what you would like this area to look like, feel like, or even sound like in 12 weeks time, right? So when we go over the page, we look at our lifestyle report card, right? And this is once again just put together for me when I've gone through areas where I haven't felt as motivated, or I haven't felt happy, or I've just been feeling shit. Generally something in my life that I'm neglecting needs attention, needs work. And so if you look at this wellness report card here, we've broken it down into 8 categories. And obviously sleep is more based around just a bonus one, because I think sleep's such an important thing. What would you score yourself out of 10 in those areas? 10 being, it couldn't possibly get any better. And 1 being, it couldn't possibly get any worse. So I'll give you a second now. And if you obviously don't have it printed out, just go through in your book and just write mental health. I score myself a 6 or 7, physical health 6 or 7. And once you've gone through, we're going to give you 1 minute to do that. You'll give yourself a wellness score out of 80. So we're going to give you a minute to do that now. Just going to read the Facebook comments. And don't overthink it. Just go through and give yourself a rough score. I'm just going to give you 10 more seconds. Those on Facebook, you're just looking at that lifestyle report card. So on the book, looks like so. Okay, guys, so you will have a score there. You might have 70, you might have 30, you might, whatever that number is, it looks like, and you'll be able to identify there which are the lowest points for you. Now, just because they're the lowest point doesn't mean that is necessarily the area that you need to improve upon. Right? If I had done this scorecard back in 2014 when I was struggling, all of them would have been about a 3 or 4, right? But what I felt for me at that point in time that I needed to really focus on, because I believed it would have the most significant positive impact on my quality of life, was my finances and my mental health. Because I believed a lot of the challenges in my life were because I had no money, and because my mental state was not very helpful in my relationships. I was aggressive. I couldn't understand my emotions, and there was a lot of instability there. So I thought to myself, and when if I had this right now back then, I would have been able to go, if I can achieve my finances, it's going to take some stress off myself, financial stress off. And if I can improve my mental health, I mightn't be as snappy and moody in my relationships and with various other things in my life. And I might not be continuing to turn to alcohol and drugs as a way to cope with life. So for me, that's where I spent a lot of my time. And you'll see there, it says, guys, 30 days of action. What do you want to focus on? That's completely up to you. But the question that I would highly recommend asking yourself would be, if I were to improve 1 or 2 of these over the next 30 days, which one would have the most significant positive improvement across the board for my life? It might be just learning to sleep better. It might be getting your finances sorted. It might be doing something with your work It might be improving your relationships, might be getting active. Okay, but only you can answer that. And then you need to give yourself, take the next step in responsibility with working out what that actually looks like. Because many of us want to improve things, but we don't set goals based around it. And this is where the 7-day game plan will come in really handy on Wednesday. Okay, has anyone got any questions or stuck on anything with that? Does that make sense for everyone? If you've got any questions on Zoom, please just post them in the chat, or if on Facebook, post them in the comments section. Otherwise, I will assume everyone's good to go. And remember, there are no stupid questions. Okay, so gents, think of this lifestyle report card as a short-term goal, like as a short-term focus or intention. Now, in the short term, I don't believe we can have everything. I believe there is going to be, there has to be sacrifices made, and within sacrifice will be unbalanced, right? It might not be the ideal life experience for you or the ideal lifestyle experience for you. But I believe by taking these short periods of sacrifice and intentional focus, in the long run, we're going to have the compound effect, right? And the compound effect will lead to you in the future being able to have everything. I truly believe in, whether it's 5, 10, 15 years time, you're going to be able to piece all this together, because the compound effect helps you improve your efficiency, right? When you become more efficient at things, it doesn't take as long. You can gain an outcome faster, right? Essentially the shortcuts. You think about anything that you know right now. For those who are using Zoom or Facebook, when you first used Zoom or Facebook, it would have been confusing as all buggery. It would have taken you a fair while to navigate it, work how to share screen, unmute yourself, comment, do all of those things. But now for those who have used it a fair bit, it's easy. You can log on and you're good to go. And that's the compound effect of practice and intentional learning. So if you think about finances, for example, for me, financial stress and learning how to leverage my income and various other things has created and enabled more financial security, so I can spend more time on my mental and emotional health, so I can spend more time in my relationship and working on those things, so I can spend more time on my lifestyle. Does that make sense? So all of these things, and same with physical health. For those who are, your health mightn't be where you would love it to be, and you really don't understand nutrition, or you don't understand what exercise modalities work best for you, there's a process of learning. There's the process of trial and error. There's a process of going, I'll try that. Fuck, that didn't work for me. Let's go again, try something new. But most people quit too early to allow that process to happen. Much like you guys, just statistically speaking, I would love for everyone on here and tuning in on Facebook to nail this and go out there and do it. But statistically speaking, I would say there will be about 8% of you guys who actually implement what you learn on these calls. And that's just the unfortunate part, because life gets in the way, and I don't want life to get in the way for you, which is why for a lot of us, a big part is mateship and accountability, because you generally think, act, and behave in a similar way to the people that you surround yourself with. So if you want to be around people who have generally good physical health, or if you want to have good physical health, hang around people who have good physical health, because you'll think, act, and behave and understand their physiology. Same with relationships. If you want to be around good dads, or if you want to be a good dad, hang around what you believe is a good dad. Does that make sense? So when we go to looking at things a little bit bigger, we go back. I should have changed the order of these pages around, but that's all good. Well, there's a question here from Libby. I'm just going to assume that's Joel. What would you define as lifestyle? So it's how I piece it all together. So for me, I work 7 days a week. That's, for some people, that's outrageous. For me, it works well because also every day I do something that I want for myself. I don't just wait for the weekend to have a whole heap of downtime. And that's what I've chosen to do. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what works really well for myself. So when you think about lifestyle, and we'll go more into this tomorrow with the vision piece, is if you had an idea of what you want your life to look like in 5 to 10 years time, what would that lifestyle be? And when I say, your ideal day, if you'd have said that to me 2014, I didn't have a very big vision for what that could look like because I had a lot of limitations on myself, what I thought was possible. And I had some beliefs about myself that I needed to work on. I didn't believe I was a good, for those who have heard the story, like I was continually taking drugs to the point where I didn't care if I woke up or not. I was continuing to lie, cheat, and manipulate. So I had all these bad habits that, solidified the beliefs that I had about myself. So I needed to do some work on that, which is why mental and emotional health is a really important part, because this is where we start understanding who we currently are, right? Which is what we'll go more into in a moment, and who we want to be and what has to happen in between to achieve that, right? It's bridging that gap, right? Within the bridging the gap, and I didn't put this piece in there, but I could probably, I'll put a post, I'll make a note to post it out in the email after this, so you can see what it looks like. But essentially within bridging the gap, gents, and this is what this 8 areas area will allow you to get to, is questions. What would you like this area to look like, feel like, or sound like in 12 weeks? And you can see here, you can write that down: growth and spirituality, or career and mission. In 12 weeks in my career, I might like to get a promotion, or I might like to be happier in my workplace. Obviously, you need to identify what has to happen to achieve that, or what happier would look like. But then you need to establish where you are currently in regards to that. Because if you lie to yourself about that, and often people lie to themselves because it's too confrontational to admit where you are. When I was broke, I lied, I couldn't accept I guess what's the right word? I wanted to be the provider for my partner. So I always, struggled, but didn't really want to let my, damage my ego in that process. So it was working out, if this is where I currently am, I'm in debt, and this is where I want to get to. This is what has to happen. And it might not be possible in 12 weeks. It might be 12 months, but this is what has to happen. One, I need to get an understanding of what my expenses are monthly and what I'm earning, and then find out if I'm spending more than I'm earning. And then you might have to go through the process of what's next for me. How do I decrease my expenses so that I'm earning more than I'm spending? And then you might go through the process of how do I increase my hourly rate? That might be through promotion. That might be through a side hustle. That might be through various things. And we spoke about this last week for the in the Strong Man of Value. But same with physical health. What would I like this area to look like in 12 weeks time? Make it measurable. It might be, I'd like to be 87 kilos. You might currently be 91 kilos. So you're dropping 3. How are you going to go about doing that? What's the process? And obviously the 7-day game plan is going to be the perfect way for you guys to go through that in detail. But if you were to just go through there, gents, I'm going to give you, obviously we'll leave this for homework, but let's all start on mental and emotional, because a lot of people get stuck here. Let's give you 2 minutes to start thinking about an improvement in your mental and emotional health, what you would like that to look like. And if anyone has gets stuck or questions in there, just post them in the chat, maybe even some ways of how do I make that measurable? For me, a way that you could make that measurable would be getting home after work, not feeling stressed and pissed off. So for me, you could say, righto, I'd love to 5 days out of 7, get home feeling excited about seeing, getting at home or seeing your partner. So make it measurable. Hey, Jay, you in the Zoom room? Just let me know if you're not from Facebook. A question from Chris. How do we meet or hang out with people you want to learn or grow from? I'll go through that in a second. Just give you guys another minute. And remember, guys, if you get stuck with that, just let me know. Those on Facebook, if you want to jump in the Zoom, do so there. Did anyone not get that done or not get a start on that? Can't really actually see anyone because I'm sharing screen, but I'll just assume maybe some people didn't, maybe some people did. Gents, what you've just done, and it's a bigger lesson than the whole thing we've been talking about, but you've just made a decision. And as I touched on before, the importance of actually making decisions will change your life because the quality of the decisions that you make determine the outcomes in your life. Get someone else jumping in here. So if you can't make a decision around what you want your mental and emotional health to look like, what you want your physical health to look like, what you want your relationship to look, or your partner in love, your finances, all that sort of stuff, how do you ever expect to create direction for your life? If you feel like, you're unmotivated, if you feel like you lack fulfillment or purpose, we create that. It's not just going to rock up one day and go, hey, Lockie, here's your purpose. Maybe you might stumble across something through making decisions, because every time you make a decision, right, you're taking action on something, and action creates answers. It creates answers around things that you feel you get fulfillment from, you enjoy, are working well for you. And you also get the same answers of things that you don't enjoy, people you don't want to hang around, and things that aren't for you. Does that make sense? There's no way you're going to ever gain this through just sitting back and waiting for that right moment. And it's always going to bring its own set of challenges through uncomfortability and risk, etc. But this is why, once again, taking ownership for this would be, what is the next step for me, or what decision can I make that is going to allow me to have the most significant positive improvement in my life. Right, so as much as, I'll just make sure if everyone can mute themselves, sorry. So while, you can use this worksheet here and this well-being checklist, you still have to be the one who's making the decision, because if you sit back and go, oh, Lockie recommended this or recommended that, you're once again at the effect of me, or you're probably at the effect of other things in your life, and you're not taking full ownership or responsibility. And if you're not taking responsibility for things, you can't change it. Right? As much as there may be influences and things that definitely have influence over outcomes, you're not going to change it by blaming people around you, the world around you. So just before we go on to the next bit, does anyone have any questions around that? Otherwise, I was going to answer Chris's question, which was, how do you meet or hang out with people you want to learn or grow from? First thing I would do would be identify what you want to learn or what area you want to grow in. For example, I'll use surfing. If you can't surf and you want to learn how to surf, the first thing I would do would be look up a surf school and then presumably get to the beach. Then once you're at the surf school, you're going to learn all the stuff on the beach. You're going to learn how to stand up on the board, and then eventually you're going to be taken out to the water. What then happens in the water is the person will push you onto a wave. So you don't even have to worry about the first part of paddling onto a wave. You get pushed onto it. You just focus on standing up. It's step by step by step. The same goes with everything else in your life. For me, if I want to learn about physical health, join a gym. But obviously physical health, maybe be a bit more specific. What specifically around physical health do you want to learn? Is it you want to learn about CrossFit? Is it you want to learn about the keto diet? Is it you want to learn about just, cold therapy or saunas? And then I would jump on Google, or for those who are in the Facebook group, ask questions, because we're about to crack 1,000 members who are all, you guys are all experts in something that I'm not, and everyone else on this call isn't. You might be able to provide locations. You might be able to provide resources or courses or various things like that we can all learn from. And that's how I go about that. Was that helpful, Chris, or does that answer? And once again, it might not happen overnight. When I first moved from Toowoomba down to Brisbane, and I sort of stopped hanging out with my mates at that point in time because I was looking to grow a business and I was looking to sort my life out, I was searching for those people. I was attending events and workshops. I was attending I had coaches and mentors. I was going to, rock climbing and various other things that interest me, with that same outlook. Like, how do I find those people? And it took me about 2 years to find good people. So don't just assume because I have the same interest, you're still going to get along with them. There's a lot of people who have similar interests to me that I would never have a beer with. And that's not saying they're bad people. They're just not the same people that I want to hang out with. So once again, it's if you don't feel comfortable, you don't vibe with that person, don't feel the need to hang around them. So I hope that's helpful. Chris, if you have any more questions, just post them in. Tommy, I've realized that some of these areas is giving us an avenue to release the fear of procrastination, which really is the fear of changing who we are. Exactly. The physiological response of enough fear can be anxiety, right? It's that fear of change, but it's also, am I excited or am I anxious or nervous? Like, we get to decide the perspective of it. Like, wherever you're at, the opportunity to grow, it can be very overwhelming if you're thinking 5-10 years down the track. For me, when I started business, the reason why I talk about money is because everyone can relate to money, but you can put this across anything specifically. But for me, when I first started a business, I believed I was going to make $1 million in 12 months. I had no financial education at all. I'd never done sales, marketing, and I'd never run a business. So as much as I was excited by that, it was still very overwhelming, and it took a very long, hasn't even happened, but it's taken such a long time to grow, develop in that space. So while the idea of becoming who you want to become, gents, can be overwhelming, you just got to take it as a day-by-day thing. And the reason why I work in generally 12-week game plans is because 12 weeks is enough to create some momentum and get some feedback and get those answers, as I spoke about before, around what's going to work well for you, whether you really enjoy it, and what you need to sharpen, what skills you need to learn in the process, because you do need to learn. You're not going to learn by by not getting uncomfortable. So it's all part of that process. What if you lack the confidence? So, all right. So then another question from Chris. What if you, and we will get back on track, Jen, so I just want to answer everyone's questions so it's helpful as well. Timmy, are you in, mate? I'll just see if Tim's in. Someone else is there. Tim, if you just join it, you'll be good to go. If you lack the confidence, right? Confidence generally comes by doing things. As I used the example of Zoom before, when you first maybe used Zoom or Facebook, you wouldn't have been that confident in utilizing it. But the more you utilize it, the more confident you become. So it's about, how do I change my state and hold and maintain myself to a certain standard of discipline? And we talk about standards and expectations on day 3. So this will be really helpful for those who have limiting beliefs around, how do I become confident? And I'm going to take you guys through a hypnosis on day 3 that will show you how you can do it instantaneously. But confidence comes through action. It always does. And it's changing your perspective around what's the fear of being confident within it. Is it, are you fearful of judgment, criticism, not knowing the right things to say, which is generally a big one for blokes in confrontational conversations maybe? What if I don't know the right thing to say? We, once again, don't ever learn if we don't take action to create the answers around, how do I get more confident in this? Does that make sense, Chris? So my first bit of advice for that would be, what would be the very next step that you need to do to take action? Don't even think about confidence. What's the one thing that I can do right now to take action towards whatever that thing is? I got one from Grant. I started getting into running, but always run by myself, and a run club wasn't an option due to none being close by, and went and volunteered at a local event to help meet some new people with the same interest. Awesome. Another option there, Grant, would be starting your own run club. There's no reason why anyone on this call or anyone who watches this recording doesn't have the ability to start something like this for yourself. If it's a run club, if it's a business, a side hustle, if it's a conversation that maybe you haven't had, it's, once again, we're going back to ownership. If you want something in your life and it's not available, what's stopping you creating it? Is it fear? Is it maybe you don't know what to do? That then comes back to us going, okay, what is the next step that I need to be able to create a run club? Maybe reach out to some people who've got run clubs on social media and find out, hey, how did you launch your run club? Maybe work out the circuit you want to run, various things like that. Like, always ask yourself, don't stop. Don't allow yourself to get stumped by not being resourceful or having the resourcefulness, because with technology in this day and age, and also the community we've got within the Man That Can project, is there's no, it just is laziness, in my opinion. That's everything. Sick from those questions. One last question is how to become more present, get off phone. That's once again a discipline thing. And I would love to sit here and say I'm fucking perfect with that, but I'm definitely not. I think for me, one thing that I'm trying at the moment in order to be more present is doing less. I think for a lot of my life, I've always tried to do more to be better. So I've always been like, what's the next course? What's the next book? What's the next conversation? I need to do. And because there's so much happening, I'm always on. I don't allow myself to just stop and utilize what I've already got within, as you guys already have as well. You know, if you're 30 years old, like I am, Gentle, you might be 50, you might be 20. You've got 20 years, 30 years, 50 years of experience that you could look within to already find answers. But instead, we're looking for the next book. We're looking for the next podcast. We're looking for the next thing. We're adding rather than taking away. All right, back on track. So, Jensen, I won't keep you too much longer. I do want to keep these relatively short and sharp, but appreciating the interaction. I hope it's answering your questions. And if you do have more questions, pump them through. So you'll see here, gents, and I want you guys to do this sheet for homework before tomorrow. So it may mean you have to sacrifice tonight and stay up for an extra 30 minutes. It may mean tomorrow morning you have to get up 30 minutes early to get it done. But this is what separates those people who actually take ownership and get what they want from life from the people who don't. And there's no reason why all of us on this call can't be the people that do get what they want. It's just a decision and then backing that up with action. Right. So I want you to go through with each of those areas, and the benefit of obviously going through each of those areas tonight or tomorrow morning. If you get stuck, right, if you don't know what it may look like, you can reach out to myself or post in the group and we'll be able to help you. But if you leave it for a week down the track and you haven't, then decide to go through it, or most people probably wouldn't, you may not have someone around you to ask to help you with that. So utilize the support and the community while it's here. I also then want you to do it for a year in advance. Like, what would you like if we're sitting here on the 6th of August, September in 2022, hopefully COVID's pissed off. What would you like those areas of your life to look like? And then, because then what you can do is you can start thinking about, and we go into this tomorrow, what skills you need to learn, what experiences you need to have, what people you need in your network, right? But also how to schedule your time, because you'll see a question there, things to consider. How do I need to schedule my time to achieve this? For those who don't chunk time, you're really, really missing out. If you're not in control of your time, it's going to be in control of you. And you're probably one of those people who always say you don't have enough time. So it's once again, decluttering and working out what are the most important things that you need to be doing in order to achieve the results that you want to achieve. What sacrifices do you need to make? As I said, in 2014, I stopped watching footy. I stopped being as social as I like to do. I stopped training as much as I like to train, because my sole focus was building a business and also getting my head right. They were the two priorities for me, and I was committed above anything else to achieve that. And the third one is obviously community or mateship. Do you know anyone achieving whatever it is that you're looking to achieve in those areas right now? And this is why I say success, guys, is what you decide it to be. So for me, I have an idea of what a successful dad might be, whereas it might be completely different to everyone else's on this call. So find people who have the results and think, act, and behave in the same way that you do. Righto? Don't just do what everyone else is doing, because otherwise you'll get the same results as everyone else, which is why most people are feeling unfulfilled and unhappy in their life, because we're just all following the same fucking blueprint. Does anyone have any questions around that? If you do, just post in the chat or post on the Facebook thing there, or you can unmute yourself. Cool. Gents, the final thing, and obviously we'll give you a couple of minutes to get started on this, but once again, it'll be homework as well, is what do you want? And this comes back to that same thing around actually being able to make a decision around what you want. Nothing is set in stone. Just because you write it on this piece of paper doesn't mean this is what you're going to want in 3 years' time. But it's going to, sorry, I need some water. It's going to enable you to work towards something, right? It's going to give you purpose. It's going to help you highlight what you need to work on. It's going to help you highlight the man that you need to become to achieve that. And then once you've decided on that, you then get to take action, right? And like I've said multiple times tonight, through action, you're going to create the answers, right? Within those answers, you're going to find out pretty quickly, I would imagine, whether that is what you really want or whether it's not. And both are awesome, right? Because if you're on track to do something that you really want to achieve or that you think you really want in your life, you keep doing that, right? That's why you see some people are so stoked all the bloody time and some aren't. But if you find out that it isn't, rather than going, I've failed and I've wasted time, you go, thanks, that's a super valuable lesson. What did I like about the experience? What didn't I? How do I then, what could I try next? That might be closer to what I actually liked about that previous experience. Does that make sense? So it's that compounding effect to get closer to what it is that you're constantly working towards. And obviously within our own growth, Jen says, you change as an individual, maybe you get married, you have a family or various other things in your life change. So will your values and priorities, which is why this work doesn't stop, which is why that wellness scorecard, you should do it monthly, which is why you should continue to check in and find out what's important for you or what you want from your life. Because who you are today isn't the same person you were 5 years ago. And once again, it drums back down on why we always talk about taking ownership for your life, because you can't expect someone to say, hey, Lockie, this is what you should be doing now. I'm the only one who knows how I feel, just as you guys are the only ones who know how you feel. People can say they understand, but they don't. You're the only one who understands what your situation and circumstances are like. Does anyone have any other questions on that? So with this 7 levels exercise, when you do, here's how it sort of flows. You go, what do you want? And it might be, I want a 6-pack, right? Or it might be, I want a passionate relationship, or it might be, I want $1 million. Whatever it is that you write in that top box, and only just do one thing. You can do this for various things, the same exercise, but let's just keep it with one. I want you to then write, why is this important for you? So if you wrote in the box, I want a 6-pack abs, not a 6-pack of beers, you would then write down, why is it important for you to have a 6-pack? It's important for me to have a 6-pack because I feel, I'd feel better at the beach with my shirt off. All right. So you then take that response to level 3. Why is it important for you to feel comfortable with your shirt off at the beach? And in question 4, you would answer that. Does that make sense, gents? And you would go all the way down to level 7, which should really bring you back to a real value or a focus point that we can use for tomorrow. And I'll talk more about that. Okay. So the whole intention of what we're doing with this page, gents. So don't worry about what's over here with vision, standards, and expectations, because that's just a quick rundown of what we'll go through tomorrow night. And then obviously values, routines, and sacrifices will be day 3 when we're filling out that 7-day game plan and really creating the plan moving forward. So your homework for tonight is just this page here, the 8 areas all men must master. Go through your report card and get your 7 levels exercise done. If you have any questions, post them in the event group on Facebook or in the page, and I'll get around to answering them. And I'll either do videos on them or I'll discuss them on tomorrow night's call. But like I said, get this done, because without building the foundation, it's going to be really hard to move into the setting a vision, understanding what your standards and expectations are, because this is really where you start designing the man you're going to become. Right now, we're creating the direction for it. Then we're going to design it. And then we're going to work out the limiting beliefs and negative emotions and all that sort of shit that holds
Okay.
us back. Okay.
Doggies.
All right, gents, does anyone have any last questions before we'll let you jump off and get back into your night? Once again, I do want to really acknowledge you guys for first and foremost signing up, because a lot of you may not have known what you're getting yourself into. Secondly, showing up. Right, that's one of the hardest part. I said there's 113 blokes that registered. We currently have had 53 on all up. So, 50% showed up. That's half the battle. But then it's also going to be who's actually going to implement this, seek to understand it, and ask questions if you get stuck. Okay, this is where the sacrifices come through. I'll email this recording. So for those on Facebook, if it was pausing, I can send through this recording if you just want to watch it anyway. And for those who watch it on replay. But like I said, guys, I'm available to you guys. I really want to help you guys come out of this 3-day masterclass with some more direction and confidence around who you are and where you're going in your life, because I think COVID's taken a lot out of a lot of people. And this is going to be a great way that you guys can set yourself up for a strong finish to the end of the year and a strong 2022, and get out there and fucking get after what you guys deserve. And we've got a hand up. Chris?
Hey, Lockie, how's it going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good. So I've only got a question about number 3. Do I know anyone achieving this now? So that was more around my question about, if you don't know anyone, how do you meet someone that would, or for that to be able to fill in that question?
100%. That's a great question as well. Thanks for asking. So would you be open to sharing a specific example? Then we can sort of help you.
Say like, for example, like, what have we got? So yeah, like for better improving your health, having, say by having someone to work out with or someone like that.
Yeah.
I do have a coach that gives me exercise, but it's all online. So it's, I don't actually have someone physically to go to a gym to work out with or someone like that. So yeah.
And you're following a specific program, or is it just the one-off sessions you're doing with your coach?
It's a specific program that he's written up, and I have a weekly check-in with him.
Yep.
Because it's a 26-week program.
Yep.
But yeah, he's in Melbourne, I'm here in Brisbane. So, it's but it's kind of like, when you go to the gym, you're there by yourself. You don't have anyone to interact with. So yeah.
And okay, so then from out of that, are you looking for someone to interact with or someone to hold you accountable and keep an intensity at training, or what's the intention?
I think also do those types of things, someone to kind of work out with, because sometimes they just help you to push you just a little bit. They may not be doing the same exercise, but if you go to the gym with someone, they're doing their stuff, but it kind of helps you get more motivated to kind of go, if that kind of makes sense, because you're both accountable, saying let's go to the gym at this time. It makes you make sure that you show up at the gym at that time, those types of things. So yeah.
Yep. So from my experience, one of the hard things about it, and for everyone listening, if from a fitness standpoint, if you're following a specific program, obviously it's not always going to match up, because generally people have different goals and maybe injuries and setbacks and all that sort of stuff. However, what you can do is, obviously, if you know people who are, wanting to achieve whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, Chris, you can obviously say, hey, I've got a program to follow if you're open to joining. If you don't have people specifically to start that, what I would jump on would be, there's plenty of Facebook groups, even our group, which you're a part of, Chris, post in there and see which people are available. Obviously, location is important, but even the gym that you go to, speak to the staff at reception and just say, hey, because most gyms will want to keep their members, right, and will want to see their members get success or create success. So I would ask the reception staff, say, hey, look, a goal that I'm working towards is this. One of the challenges that I've got currently is I don't have anyone to train with. If you guys have anyone joining the gym or know of anyone currently at the gym that is looking to, has similar goals, I'd love for you to introduce us, and I'd love to, be able to potentially train with them. Because from my position as a coach, like, that would be a fucking win, huge win. So I think definitely talk to your gym, but I even think post within the group within our community, because there's definitely a lot of blokes in there that are going to gyms around here who, everyone's looking for some accountability as well.
Cool.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely.
And just be persistent as well. Like obviously you mightn't find it, might take a few months, but eventually that person will come across and you'll be, when I started CrossFit, it took me training by myself. And then I found my mate, Brad, who we trained together for 4 years, but now we both have separate goals. So we don't train together anymore. So it was good for that period, but obviously as our goals changed, so did who I train with, etc.
Yep.
Cool. Hope that was
Cool.
helpful. And Chris, who's just jumped on Facebook, mate, I'm recording it over here on Zoom. And for everyone else if anyone else has to jump off, obviously I know I've waffled on for a fair bit. Feel free to jump off and carry on with your nights, but I'm also happy to sit around and answer any questions that anyone has. Phil, I find CrossFit has been great for me in the past, and I've now joined Functional, and there's a 6-week challenge. Yeah, awesome. Good to have you in the 6-week challenge as well. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to post them in. Otherwise, I will let you guys get stuck into your homework. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jacob, mate. Yeah, catch up on that call. Nath has just jumped in. If anyone has any questions for those, I know a few people have just jumped in. Otherwise, gents, we'll see you tomorrow night. And like I said, please, gents, make the time to get those worksheets done, because it's only going to help compound for tomorrow. Now, I don't want to be going through stuff tomorrow night and you haven't, answered the questions that are going to be really helpful for you to know tomorrow night, so you can, really be more efficient with our time tomorrow night. And once again, gents, if you have any questions, post them in the group, or even just save them up for tomorrow night and you can ask them on the call. I'll shoot out the link again tomorrow plus a recording. Have a great night.